For Honor's combat is the kind I always wanted, but never thought I'd actually get to play. Its third-person action game exterior hides a strategically complex fighting game, mixing team-based and solo modes all built on the most flexible and technically complete melee fighting system I have ever experienced. Above all else, For Honor lives and dies on its fighting. An elegant directional attacking and blocking system that's easy to grasp, but demanding to master. You guard incoming attacks to the right, left, or top, and attempt to retaliate where there's an opening. It sounds simple, right? Well, it isn't. Each of the 12 heroes divided evenly across 3 factions of knights, Vikings, and samurai have deep, unique movesets that all play out through a complex web of dodges, parries, guard breaks, counters, light and heavy attacks, combo chains, feints, recoveries, unblockable attacks, uninterruptible attacks, stuns, throws, environmental kills, and of course, grisly executions. That intricacy is on full display in the 1v1 duel and 2v2 brawl modes. But some of the nuance gets lost when you crank it up to the larger 4v4 dominion, elimination, and skirmish modes, where 2 teams battle over control points or just try to murder each other. Here, the delicate balance of the combat often gives way to messy brawls, and when one team loses a player, they're hard-pressed to stop a snowball of multiple enemies beating on them. Though it is possible, and honestly exhilarating, to overcome 3-on-1 battles with skillful use of the revenge mechanic to even the odds, the team with the greater numbers almost always wins. And facilitating all this is For Honor's usually consistent netcode that, in my experience, only occasionally gives a noticeable advantage to any one player. While the peer-to-peer structure does demand host migration when the wrong player drops, or I join into a losing game, competent bots step in to fill the shoes of MIA players. For Honor's multiplayer isn't a game to dip in and out of. It requires commitment and a hefty portion of patience to learn each of the heroes. And progressing them into these awesomely armor-clad warriors of your dreams takes an equal amount of patience, because the in-game currency, steel, is rewarded sparsely after each completed match. I'll admit to buying a steel pack as a shortcut for some sweet fiery wings on my Lawbringer. But there's nothing in For Honor that can't be bought by just spending time grinding. The other side of progression is hero leveling, where experience is slowly earned by completing matches and the daily and bi-weekly objective contracts. Both sides of progression are stingy, but the end result is it's unlikely 2 heroes will ever look exactly alike, and it's a much-needed little tangible reward in a game where the real progression comes from the intangible progress of getting better with a particular hero. For Honor's single-player campaign is, pardon the pun, a double-edged sword.
Well. Do you know where Ayu is?
I enjoyed the opportunity to try out most of the heroes against AI opponents, but I don't see it as worth a second playthrough once finished. On one side, the story is largely nonsensical with characters that are totally forgettable. On the other, the gameplay strings together the same lock-on and fight experience found in multiplayer against mostly docile AI, with the exception to the boss encounters. But the settings, besieging a fort, riding a horse, scaling a wall, shooting a ballista, fighting an elephant, or just taking out armies of soldiers with well-timed abilities, help to mix up the roughly 5 to 8 hour campaign into an enjoyable distraction from the multiplayer. There are frustratingly hidden objectives to find within each mission to pad out the time, but the added difficulty levels, including the hardest realistic mode, which removes the lock-on HUD, adds some small degree of challenge. For Honor has some dents in its shiny armor, such as the mediocre campaign, the frugal economy, and the snowballing victories in team modes. But it's hard to be mad at it too long when I consider that the melee combat system is second to none. And it's a joy to learn, take your licks, and learn some more. I could feel myself becoming a better warrior with this deep, flexible, and complete fighting system. The more I play For Honor, the more I want to play For Honor. And I hope Ubisoft doubles down on support, because it's truly something special. If you're interested in more For Honor, be sure to check out the first 15 minutes of the campaign, or the graphics comparison, or 5 tips for mastering it from the creative director himself. And for much more For Honor, keep it right here on IGN.